Hi everyone, Oksana here. If you're watching this video, say hello to us, as well as we do have an opening in a one-on-one program in September, and we do work with small amount of clients at a time. If you're needing help with your health, if you're struggling with something like arthritis or Hashimoto's disease, low thyroid function, hair loss, fatigue, or brain fog, then or if you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, then we've been able to help people improve their labs and symptoms rapidly. And those of you who are new to a page, you can go to our website, you can fill out a survey, and then we're going to send you more information based on what it is that you need help with. So this is the first step, is going to our website, completing a survey so you can get customized recommendations from us. And then I'm actually send you a personal video response with your questions or what is it you need help with, and then I can point you in the right direction. So those of you who are struggling with your health, our next opening is in September. We do work with small amount of clients at the same time, where we help them rapidly reverse chronic inflammation and disease, but as well as teach you how to have an extraordinary health and to have the best health of your life. So we do have new classes we teach with our clients in the program, but we teach you everything you need to know about disease reversal. So in this video, I'm going to do a small workshop with you. I'm going to share my slides, and I'm going to teach you the 4 main causes of brain degeneration. So if you are struggling with brain fog, or if you are struggling with poor memory, then this is a class for you. And I'm going to teach you the main 4 causes. But in a program, when we work with our clients, we teach them exactly what they have to do to not only reverse brain degeneration, but also any type of diseases in the body, including autoimmune diseases, cancer diseases. And we teach you the science-based approach. So it's everything that you need to know about disease reversal that we teach you in a program based on our experience helping clients. So in this presentation, I'm going to talk about the 4 major contributors to Alzheimer's, but also just brain degeneration in general. So one thing to be clear about, there are lots of causes of cognitive decline, and only one of them is Alzheimer's disease. But in the interest of time, we're going to focus on Alzheimer's disease. So we're going to look at the 4 major contributing factors of Alzheimer's disease, but as well as just brain degeneration in general, and then how lifestyle habits cause this to develop, okay? So first contributor of brain degeneration is inflammation. So if you are dealing with any type of pain or an autoimmune disease or diabetes or high blood pressure, that's an inflammatory issue. Natural inflammation is natural process of the body. It's your immune system responding to invading threats. That's actually called acute inflammation. It's when you're experiencing like redness and swelling at the injury site, which promotes healing. But chronic inflammation, that's due to things like diet, stress, and bad lifestyle choices. And this is where your healthy tissues start to get damaged. So instead of healing, you actually damage healthy tissues. So it's an early process of Alzheimer's disease, and you might not even know that it's happening to you right now. You might not even experience any discomfort, but chronic inflammation, that's where it's actually really bad state that leads to all of these diseases that people die from, including heart disease and diabetes. So inflammation in the body, actually inflammation in your blood vessels leads to inflammation in the brain. And inflammation in the brain develops, and the cells that are responsible for housekeeping, collecting garbage and discarding, old cells in the body, they become overwhelmed. And what you end up with is cell death and structural damage. So that's chronic inflammation. So actually, in the early process of this disease, inflammation in the brain develops, which activates these microglial cells, and they become overloaded, and they actually start damaging your brain cells. And we had clients here, a client Vanessa that we worked with, she had early stage of multiple sclerosis, and she also had gastritis, and all her symptoms were gone in a program, but just within 6 weeks of us working together. And she said that she was in a much better mood, she had energy, and she had better mental clarity. And this is just some of the things that our clients have experienced. So the main cause of Alzheimer's disease or brain degeneration is chronic inflammation. And most people have chronic inflammation, even if you don't have symptoms. So if you are looking to reverse, Alzheimer's disease before it happens, or diabetes or heart disease, then you really have to pay attention to what you need to do to reverse it. And the second contributor is oxidation. Another factor is oxidation, which occurs naturally when oxygen reacts to other substances. And a good example, if you put lettuce, you leave it on the counter, it's going to turn brown. And it's going to turn brown as a result of oxidation. And this way you get formation of free radicals. They steal electrons from neighboring tissues and cells. So in the brain, free radicals take electrons from neurons and what's inside our cells, and proteins and fatty acids and DNA, and this results in permanent damage. So oxidation causes permanent damage in the brain. And the brain uses most of the body's oxygen, so it's very vulnerable to oxidation. So the brain can address oxidation, is designed to do that. But the problem is that the brain becomes overwhelmed if you're not giving your body the right nutrients to repair the oxidation damage that's happening, and you continue injuring yourself. So we talked about a lot of healthy foods that people eat. They think it's healthy, but it's actually inflammatory, and you're not realizing it. Like some of them is coconut oil or olive oil people consuming, but actually damages your blood vessels, which leads to the damage in the brain. So a program is a program that rapidly reverses this oxidative damage, but as well as inflammation in the body. So your body has enormous ability to heal. It has enormous capacity to heal, but assuming that you take really good enough care of yourself, and otherwise that's when people start getting overwhelming their system and they start developing symptoms of disease. The third cause of brain degeneration, like if you're experiencing brain fog or poor memory, and eventually leads to Alzheimer's disease. And we have classes we teach our clients in detail about that, what foods causes that, as well as what foods you need to add to your diet to reverse this process before it happens. But one of them is glucose dysregulation. So what does this mean? It means diabetes. So that's really the next contributor to brain degeneration or Alzheimer's disease. And it's very common in the early stages of disease. So glucose, it feeds the brain cells, and development of insulin resistance causes high glucose levels to build up. So diabetics, they experience more shrinking in the hippocampus or the memory center than other people. So people who have diabetes, their brain shrinks. Okay. So therefore, they're more likely to develop Alzheimer's disease if you are having issues with your blood sugar levels. And type 2 diabetes is one of the most preventable and treatable diseases out there that people develop in our culture. And actually, if you have diabetes, it also increases your risk of getting cancer significantly. That's why we should be a lot of paying attention to this issue. And our clients have actually normalized their blood sugar levels just within 30 days of us working together. Here's one of our clients we worked with. His blood sugar was over 125 and then went down to 89. And also his A1C dropped. We had clients who had A1C 7.1 that went down to normal range within just few weeks of us working together. And actually, this client developed something that's called gastroparesis, where his digestive system was not working. He was constipated for weeks at a time. And one of the causes of gastroparesis is blood sugar dysregulation. So if you're dealing with type 1 or type 2 diabetes, it's really important to reverse it because it leads to other health issues down the road. And the fourth contributor of brain degeneration or Alzheimer's is lipid dysregulation. So what's good for your heart is good for your brain. A heart healthy diet protects your brain from damage. And lipids, they're building blocks of cells and hormones and steroids, and they comprise 59% of the brain's dry weight. But high lipid levels lead to inflammation and oxidative damage, which is harmful byproducts. So cholesterol, it's a lipid that accumulates in blood vessels. And actually, atherosclerosis, which leads to heart attacks and strokes, it starts developing in children as young as 4 years old. So we had a friend who died at 50 years old from heart disease, and he has never been to a doctor. He didn't even know he had heart disease. He had no symptoms of heart disease. So that's why high cholesterol levels or cholesterol in the body that does damage the blood vessels, and that leads to the vascular disease, and that's a big risk for Alzheimer's disease. Therefore, what's good for your brain is good for your cardiovascular health, and what's good for your cardiovascular health is good for your brain. And if you eat a healthy diet, then you will be able to not only reverse high cholesterol, but also any inflammation in the brain. Okay, so the inability to clear out cholesterol in your blood vessels, that leads to the accumulation of amyloid plaque in the brain. And again, we go into really detail about all of this with our clients in a program, and you get access to all of our education if you join our program and work together with us. So this is one of our clients who's been able to lower her high blood pressure medications in just 2 weeks of us working together. And then we had clients whose A1C, like I talked about, was 7.1 when we started. It went down to 6.3 when they retested their blood work. And then we had clients whose LDL, which is bad cholesterol, went from 117 to 93 in normal range within 30 days because they retested their labs. And of course, the blood sugar normalized within 6 weeks of us working together. So there's a lot of different cases here, but the brain is resilient and damage can occur, but it compensates with new pathways. So like stroke patients are actually able to rewire their brains through therapy. And genes are not a life sentence, they're just predisposition. So one thing to make clear is that Alzheimer's disease is not an inevitable consequence of getting older. It's a process of degeneration, and the process starts happening early in life, and you can reverse it before it shows up. You start having symptoms. So you could be doing terrible things now and not notice it. And the brain and the body has amazing ability to recover from the damage. But we are seeing now people in their 30s getting cancer, and they're getting things like breast cancer, melanoma, or prostate cancer. So there's definitely things in the environment and nutrition that has changed over the decade. And that's why we teach our clients how to give your body more than enough nutrients to be able to repair the damage. So the reason that why it doesn't take place or doesn't develop until you get older is because it takes a long time to injure yourself to the place where the symptoms become really evident. And like I said earlier, your body is very resilient. That's one of the reasons you could be doing a lot of bad things to yourself, but not experiencing until you get sick with something like cancer or heart disease. So damage can occur in one area in the brain, and the brain just compensates and has another area to take over particular junction. And the brain will actually create new neural pathways around the injured area. For example, there was a book that was published, and it was called The Mind and the Brain. And the author of the book talked about where stroke patients have been able to repair strength in one side of the body by not moving it at all and forcing movements in the other side of the body during a 20-hour of therapy, which actually causes the brain to rewire itself, and the injured side was able to actually recover. So that's one of the studies. It takes a long time for you to develop symptoms. So an interesting fact is that 2/3 of Alzheimer patients are women, and 1 in 6 women will develop Alzheimer's after the age of 65, where men, 1 in 11 men will develop Alzheimer's disease. And there's a lot of theories why more women suffer from that. The obvious one is women tend to live longer than men. Women tend to see their doctor more often than men. Men don't even see their doctor unless their wife tells them. And so women tend to live longer. And then another reason is that men in general had more mentally challenging careers. Men were doctors and lawyers, but now, of course, in the last decades, that has changed. Women have more mentally challenging careers, which protects your brain. So one of the things that we teach our clients is not only when it comes to nutrition to repair the brain, the inflammation in the brain, inflammation in your blood vessels, and heal the whole body, but we also teach them the type of exercises they can do to stay mentally sharp. Okay, so and this is gonna be the next I'm gonna leave the next slides for the next presentation, for the next live video. So if you found this video interesting, let me know in the comments below. If you found this presentation interesting, if you want us to do another class like that as well. And those of you who are looking to get a help, you can reach out to us to join our program for our next opening, book a consultation with us, and fill out that survey on our website so we can give you customized recommendations. And those of you who worked with us before, you can also do a refresher course with us as well, that we have openings available so you can join in for new classes, get support, and learn new information that we haven't taught in the program before. So if you found this class interesting to you, or then let us know in the comments. And if you have suggestions for another topic that we could teach next time, but I'm going to go live hopefully next week to teach you something else. So make sure that you follow this page and get notified when I go live so you can participate in the discussion and ask questions. Thanks, Mariella, for joining. It was good to see you. And hi, Natalie. Thanks, everybody, for joining. And then I'll see you next time. And let me know what questions you have for us. Feel free to send us a message and let us know what is it you need help with.